Mortal Kombat! Want to find out what I think about this new arcade 1-up Mortal Kombat machine? Find out in this video. What's up everybody, this is Brian from Happy Funny Gaming, and this is a gaming channel where I'll do reviews and also gameplay elements and what I think in the gaming community. So let's get started. Mortal Kombat! Din, 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 din. Rating, Sonya, Liu Kang. That's the best I could do with a song. That's a dope song. You should have it in your library. I ended up picking up the Mortal Kombat arcade 1-up machine. I got tempted. It was in Walmart. And what do I think about it? Spoilers, I think it's great. Let me give you a brief history about my arcade experience with Mortal Kombat 1 through 3. When I was a kid in the 90s, Mortal Kombat 1 came out and I was small. I wasn't even in my teenage years. And the thing was, I never got to experience playing the arcade fully. I didn't have the older brother, didn't have the older sister who played and let me play. I would always be in the back burner because I would always get intimidated by these teenagers hogging up the machine, so I never got to play. The only chance that I got to play was actually when it was in Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. I remember when there was a choice. You could either pick Super Nintendo, which had better graphics but no blood, or Sega Genesis, which had worse graphics but had a blood code. I chose the blood code. I had a Sega Genesis at the time and a Super Nintendo, but I chose the blood code because I wanted that blood, I wanted that experience. And even though it was fun in the Sega Genesis, I never had the experience what it was like in the arcade. I only played it a couple times in the arcade, but I never had that joy of playing with someone else in the arcade, and it never really amounted to that experience. Now, I did get the games when it came out to console, Mortal Kombat 1 through 3, so 1, 2, and 3, and still, with the controller, I never had the experience, even playing online with people, of that arcade feel. To get that experience, I stumbled upon this, the arcade 1-up Mortal Kombat machine. This actually brought me back to the days when it was the arcade, where it was loud, where you had to stand up to play, where you had to be side by side with a person to play with the arcade machine. They don't have that hardly anymore, only in special areas like Dave & Buster's or whatnot, because everyone plays online now. And yes, if you like the shirt, this was my first fatality ever.
Sub-Zero wins flawless fatality.
So, what does this machine over here feature? It features Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. I personally like Mortal Kombat 2 because I played it a lot, and that's the game that I actually have the most experience with. And I played all of them with the fullest. Mortal Kombat 1, I still played and had fun with it playing on this machine here. Mortal Kombat 2, still have fun. And Mortal Kombat 3, I experienced it, how it was like to play actually in the arcade. Now let me get you to the nitty gritty of this system. What do I think about the quality? The quality is actually pretty good. It is, I think it's plywood, very thin wood, but it's very steady. It doesn't wiggle around that much. It has a little bit of heft to it. It weighs like about 50 pounds, maybe a little bit more. The marquee does not light up, but the graphics really look good on this machine. I mean, when you look at it, it's an art piece. Mortal Kombat, you know it's Mortal Kombat. How do the controls feel? So the controls are okay. So my experience with controls, arcade sticks, is I have the Mad Catz, the original Mad Catz Pro Arcade stick for Street Fighter 4, and I've been using that all the time. and so I know what a quality arcade stick feels like. This doesn't really feel like quality, but it gets the job done. I mean, if you're a professional gamer, you're not going to be using this, you're not going to be practicing on this. But if you are a casual gamer and you just want the nostalgia feeling of being in an arcade, playing with your friends, messing around, these controls will do just fine. They're responsive, you can do all the moves, they're clicky. See if you hear this. They have a press to them. It's exactly like, it feels exactly like how they're spaced out. It feels exactly like the Mortal Kombat arcade. You can't get this in any other system except buying a separate arcade Mortal Kombat stick, but then you could only use it for Mortal Kombat on your console, and if I was gonna do that, I might as well get the actual arcade. So the joysticks are clicky. I don't remember them being clicky, and I played in the arcade convention and they weren't clicky. You get used to it. You get used to it, and they're still responsive. I think it's a square gate. You can't really feel it unless you really go to the far left, right, up and down. But they get the job done. They're really spaced out, and it does give you the arcade feel of Mortal Kombat, playing Mortal Kombat in the 90s. That's the thing that I was trying to get at. The art's great, it looks really good. I had a lot of fun playing with it. I played with it with my friend for several hours, and we just had a blast. It was just like being in the arcade, side by side. Now, what do I think about the sound? The sound is mono, which sucks, but it's hella loud. It's a little bit too loud. It goes from no sound, medium, to loud, but it's really no sound, loud, hella loud. Alright, so don't expect to play this while someone's sleeping and lower the volume just in case, to let you know. Let me talk to you guys about the height of this machine. So without the stand, you could play it sitting down. You could use this chair, sit down while playing it. I personally don't like playing arcade machines like that, sitting down, like the Japanese style. I never liked it. I want to stand up. It just feels right because it feels like it was in the 90s of how I played when I was a little kid. So I got the stand, and from the height of it, it is smaller than a regular arcade. Of course, it's thinner, and the height is a little bit lower, but for me, I am 5'7". It actually is the right height for me, and I have no problems. My other friend's 5'11". He didn't complain about playing with it, and if you're in that height range, I don't think you're gonna have any problems either. How easy is it to build this machine? It was pretty easy. It says not to use a drill, electric drill. I used an electric drill. I just been very careful because it is plywood, so if you tighten it up too much, it could break and tear. One thing though that I didn't know, that if you're trying to build it, a good tip, get one of those tiny screwdrivers, and it's because when you screw in this screen right here in the back, it actually has very little leeway for the screwdriver holder or the screwdriver handle. So if you have a thick screwdriver handle, you're going to be a hard time screwing the tiny screws in there. If you have a thinner, tiny screwdriver handle, you could twist and everything, and the screw will go on straight. Just a little quick tip. When I bought it, I made sure I got the best box as what I could find in Walmart. And it is a Walmart exclusive, just to let you guys know. But I made sure I got the best box. But there was some dings and dents to it. Not really a lot. One is right over here. The tape, the red tape was a little bit off. You can't really tell by the camera, but it could be fixed. I think if you could glue it back together, or I could cut it. I'm just lazy to do it right now, but another thing is there's a scratch up here. You can't tell probably from the camera, but there's a tiny scratch on the top of the screen. It's not on the screen, but it doesn't affect the gameplay at all, so I never wanted to return it at all. Other than that, that's it. Those are the only things. There's a couple things in this. It's in a box. It ships. What can you expect? It can't be perfect. And also, you're not really paying a lot for it. Now, this arcade machine is great for someone who is on a budget, who wants the arcade feel. Now, I didn't want to buy a whole Mortal Kombat machine, cost $2,000 and up maybe, and also end up breaking. It's heavy as crap. I don't know if I could fit it in my house or multiple, but this one is just right for my game room. It's not in the corner that I want or in the space that I want right now because I'm just leaving it here till I get another arcade one up. But it's big enough that when people see it, and they have during my parties, it's wow, like what is that? Oh, it's Mortal Kombat. It's a Mortal Kombat machine, and that's the effect that you want to get. It's an art piece. Plus, if it ends up breaking in the future, it's okay. It's okay. It is pricey. It is $300, but it's only $300 compared to $2,000 that you spend in an arcade machine, not knowing that you won't find the parts in the future. The LCD screen is huge, at 17-inch square, and it's very bright. Let me tell you about the gameplay in the LCD screen. The gameplay is actually really crisp. Now, it does look better. When I went to an arcade convention, I played the original Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 3, and it does look crisper in the arcade cabinets, and that's because it's the CRT TV with the scan lines. It hides the pixelation more better in the actual arcade. It's still great looking. You just see a little bit of jagged edges, which is okay. I mean, you can't even tell when you play. You're just the nostalgia moment, the feeling that you get. You can't even I can't even describe it. It's like it's not even an issue. All right. Now you do get Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. The actual control panel on this arcade machine, it actually has a protection here. I know before the Street Fighter ones didn't have one, and due to wear and tear, the graphics would change. This has a plastic overlay that came with it, and it works. It just feels like a plastic overlay. That's basically how it is. There are settings to these machines that you could put, but it's actually set to like arcade standard, which was hella hard back in the day to beat. You can do a code to do the factory settings to change them to easy, but I heard it will actually break the system, so I wouldn't recommend it. Just practice, you'll get it. I beat all the games in this arcade machine. It just took a lot of continues. So, do I recommend this system? Who do I recommend it for? And would I purchase it again? I recommend this system to anyone who wants that arcade feel, who grew up in the 90s, who always wanted an arcade system, who's not willing to spend over $2,000 on a real arcade machine and doesn't have a lot of space. This is very accessible to a lot of people. It is over $300 with the stand, but what you're getting for that nostalgia feeling, for that art piece to play, to put in your room, in your game room, man cave, whatever you want to call it, it's worth it. It's worth it. If you love Mortal Kombat, it's a definite buy, no-brainer. If you just like the arcade feel and setting up an arcade, it's great. Also, it's for the person who is not a stickler of the original arcade, meaning not an arcade snob. All right. Obviously, if you're an arcade snob and cares about, originality, the original, the feel of the controller, you're gonna think this is trash. You could mod it. You could mod these controls, but is it an issue for me? No, it's not an issue for me. I could work with it. I could do all the moves with it. It's not an issue. I don't get pissed off at it. For me, at least, it's responsive and it plays like the arcade. So yes, I recommend this system. Definite buy. Would I buy it again? Hell yeah! I'm gonna get more arcade one-ups. I'm addicted now to just once I got that feeling. So go out there, go to Walmart, go buy it. Mortal Kombat! Dun 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 dun. See you in the next video.